Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversation Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Well, we made it over the hump, and we're in the home stretch toward the weekend. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Thursday. We have a message from my book, Words That I Choose to Live By, and in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you'll be part of my conversation with New York Times bestselling author David Baldacci discussing his brand new book, Lone Shadows. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Wednesday headlines. In national news, Alex Jones ordered to pay $965 million for Sandy Hook lies. The conspiracy theorist Alex Jones should pay $965 million to people who suffered from his false claim that the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting was a hoax, a jury in Connecticut decided on Wednesday. The verdict is the second big judgment against the InfoWars host over his relentless promotion of the lie that the 2012 massacre never happened and that the grieving families seen in news coverage were actors hired as part of a plot to take away people's guns. It came in a lawsuit filed by the relatives of 5 children and 3 educators killed in the mass shooting, plus an FBI agent who was among the first responders to the scene. A Texas jury in August awarded nearly $50 million to the parents of another slain child. Jones wasn't at court but reacted on his InfoWars show. "Hey folks, don't go buy big houses," he said. The trial featured tearful testimony from parents and siblings of the victims who told about how they were threatened and harassed for years by people who believed the lies told on Jones's show. Strangers showed up at their homes to record them. People hurled abusive comments on social media. Testifying during the trial, Jones acknowledged he had been wrong about Sandy Hook. The shooting was real, he said, but both in the courtroom and on his show, he was defiant. He called the proceedings a kangaroo court, mocked the judge, called the plaintiff's lawyer an ambulance chaser, and labeled the case an affront to free speech rights. He claimed it was a conspiracy by Democrats and the media to silence him and put him out of business. "I've already said I'm sorry hundreds of times, and I'm done saying I'm sorry," he said during his testimony. 20 children and 6 adults died in the shooting on December 14, 2012. The defamation trial was held at a courthouse in Waterbury, about 20 miles from Newtown, where the attack took place. In more national news, Social Security payments set for big increase. Here's what you need to know, says the Associated Press. Tens of millions of older Americans are about to get what may be the biggest raise of their lifetimes. On today, the U.S. government is set to announce how big a percentage increase Social Security beneficiaries will see in monthly payments this upcoming year. It's virtually certain to be the largest in 4 decades. It's all about part of an annual ritual where Washington adjusts Social Security benefits to keep up with inflation, or at least with one narrow measure of it. Plenty of controversy accompanies the move, known as a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. Critics say the data the government uses to set the increase doesn't reflect what older Americans are actually spending, and thus the inflation they're actually feeling. The increase is also one-size-fits-all, which means beneficiaries get the same raise regardless of where they live or how big a nest egg they may have. The U.S. government is going to announce an increase to how much the more than 65 million Social Security beneficiaries will get every month. Some estimates say the boost may be as big as 9%. In more national news, ACT test scores dropped to lowest in 30 years and pandemic slide. Scores on the ACT college admissions test by this year's high school graduates hit their lowest point in more than 30 years, the latest evidence of the enormity of learning disruption during the pandemic. The class of 2022's average ACT composite score was 19.8 out of 36, marking the first time since 1991 that the average score was below 20. What's more, an increasing number of high school students failed to meet any of the subject area benchmarks set by the ACT, showing a decline in preparedness for college-level coursework. In more national news, CNN reveals name and start date for new morning show. CNN says it will debut its new morning show November the 1st before a new set is even built, but with a new name to get in front of viewers a week before the midterm election. The show will be called CNN This Morning, the network said on Wednesday. The program, with Caitlin Collins, Poppy Harlow, and Don Lemon as hosts, replaces the current New Day and will air weekdays at 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's the first big programming move by CNN's new chief executive. CNN wants to take advantage of an expected bump in viewership surrounding the November 8th election, so it is moving ahead in temporary quarters despite a New York-based set for the show still being under construction. And finally, in business news, late slide sends Wall Street lower and more uncertain trading. A wobbly day of trading on Wall Street ended with a modest pullback for stocks Wednesday as investors wait and reports show that inflation remains very hot, likely paving the way for more aggressive interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. A late afternoon drop erased tentative gains that the major stock indexes have been clinging to for much of the day. The S&P 500 ended 0.3% lower, its sixth consecutive loss. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Nasdaq Composite each slid 0.1%. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Sometimes life presents a challenge that helps define the person you are versus the person you can be. Do not think because you are facing difficulty that this means you're on the wrong path. Instead, remember this. Just like tests in school help to fortify you for the next grade, what you are going through right now is preparing you for what is to come. Learn all you can today so you can be better equipped for the challenges of tomorrow. Have an amazing Thursday. David Baldacci is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversation Daily News. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with Entertainment Spotlight. International best-selling author David Baldacci joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show this week, to talk about his brand new book and literary journey. Here's a bit of our conversation.
What has that been like for you, David, to be able to see the way that people have not only latched onto these books, but also really taken into these characters?
It's always a fabulous feeling. I mean, when you create something from scratch and you give it out to the world, hopefully it'll be a positive response. It certainly has been with Amos Decker. I was at a book signing event last night, and a lot of people were there, and they were thrilled that Decker was back again after a couple of years absence. And when I first created the guy, I really thought that he was unique and different, and I was hoping that people would relate to him, even though he's certainly not the perfect hero. He's got a lot of bad habits and traits, and he can be annoying at times, but he's got a big heart, and he's trying to do the right thing. So it's been gratifying to see the response from readers.
And David, that is the thing I think that is so true with you, with so many of the characters you've been able to give us. And even though we haven't seen Amos in a little while, you've given us some great books that keep us entertained for different ages for sure. Talk to us about that, because whether we're talking about your foundation or your support of literacy among different age groups or your books, you've been able to really give readers of all ages something to enjoy. Was that part of your mission when you kind of became a storyteller?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a writer today because I was a reader as a little kid, and books really saved me in many ways, changed me in many ways, gave me perspective on the world that I have to this day. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia in the 60s. It was a very segregated society, and I never had an opportunity to leave Richmond as a child. I just didn't have the economic means to do that. But I went to the library and I saw the world through books. And I have to tell you that experience of visiting other people in other places and other countries around the world made me, among many other things, empathetic, sympathetic, tolerant. I broadened my horizons.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. Prepare us on tomorrow to wrap up this week. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's go make it a great one.